girl, you can't have sunshine without a little bit of rain, ain't that right? No, it isn't, because we haven't had sunshine in so long that it's not even a little bit of rain anymore. Hello beautiful bookworms, my name is Katrina and welcome to my channel. And so today I'm going to be doing for you guys another review because, as some of you might know, I have been reading the Lord of the Rings trilogy and I finally finished it. So what I'm doing currently is editing my spoilery vlog of The Return of the King, the last book in the trilogy, and what I'm going to do now is to do for you a non-spoiler review of The Return of the King and some of my thoughts about it without spoiling you. So this is going to be a fairly short video, I hope, and I think it's going to be, so that you then can have the entire experience of watching my spoilery vlog. If you haven't read the books or watched the movie, don't watch that vlog and watch this video instead, because that is why I am filming it. So obviously a little bit of context, I have been reading the books since The Hobbit, which I did a non-spoiler review, but I didn't do a vlog on it because it is fairly short and is kind of a middle grayish children's book. And then I started reading Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, which I have non-spoiler reviews for them as well, and I have spoilery vlogs as well. And then I read The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien. So this is the shortest book, at least in the Portuguese edition it is, and it doesn't look like it because most of these pages of the end are appendixes. And obviously I want to read them, but because of time constraints I haven't been able to, so I decided to read first the Silmarillion and then go back to all of the appendixes of The Return of the King. But if you count them out, this is the shortest book, and you can pretty much understand why if you've read the other two books, because you don't have a lot to solve in this book. So this book is basically the end of a journey. This book is basically the resolve of a conflict and what happens after that, like the aftermath of everything and how the characters are feeling in that aftermath and what happened to everyone and in what point are we now, and then the ending, obviously, because it's a very cohesive story. So you have the first point and then the last point and obviously everything that happens in between. So this book was basically the last point and just the last book that you can read. Obviously, I'm saying it is the shortest of them all, but it is fairly 336 pages, I believe, so it's not that short. So you have a lot to wrap up still, and in my opinion, it was very well wrapped up, although some of the characters that appeared in this book and that had this kind of main thing to do in this book, they weren't fairly well explained, and I can't say who I'm talking about, but I'm talking about some of the characters of some races that appeared, and you are not very convinced of what they're doing there and who they are and why is that happening, but that ends up more being in the end. So in my opinion, Tolkien had this idea and he went with it, and the entire idea was beautiful, but then the aftermath of the idea, you have kind of a pushed side story of the thing when your main characters go back after everything that happened. And that particular side story, I understand why it was there, because it had a lot to do with the criticism that Tolkien does to industries and to fabrication of stuff and to disrespect of nature and how stupid people sometimes power over big groups of people because they don't have a leader and they don't know how to unite themselves. Although all of them want to fight back, they don't know how to do it and need someone to do it for them. So I know, or I believe, because I am not I don't know everything, obviously, but I believe that that's what he wanted to do with the last part of this book, so the aftermath before the ending. But it didn't fit in the entirety of the story. It was more like a direct criticism instead of a progression of the story. But at the same time, there were clues throughout the second book that this could come to happen eventually. Although for those of you like me that only watch the movies or that haven't watched anything and don't know what they're getting into, it's kind of difficult to get those clues. Like, now I see that they were there, but I didn't notice them right here and there, you know? So it was kind of a little bit of a push, but it was the only thing, in my opinion, that wasn't fairly explained and fairly discussed as the rest of the book. And I am talking about this in specifics because I love Tolkien's writing, and I love how he describes things. I love how he thinks through his plots. And then that little small part kind of disappointed me a little, but it wasn't that bad, if you know what I mean. Like, I loved it still, and I still think it was a great book, although I loved the second book more. It was probably, between the second and the first one, probably the second was my favorite, but I fairly liked the first one as well. This one, it has a little bit more of a fast pace as the others, because obviously you're resolving the final conflicts, so you have to just get on with it and solve them all. And of course you have a lot of points of views in a way, because you don't have a first person narration, but you have a lot of points of views of stuff that are going on in different spaces, and I like how Tolkien grabs them and chronologically puts them in order, so you know what's going on in one place while you are reading what is happening in the other place, which obviously you want to know, because if you don't know, then you don't have the chronological of everything that is happening at the same time. So in my opinion, it was a very good written book. Obviously, it was a very great, beautiful novel. It was a fairly great ending to this. And yeah, I did like other books better, but this book is great. Yeah, so I like the second book better, but that is my point of view. And I really enjoyed the third one. I think we got to see some character development throughout the entire series, and it didn't stop in this one. We saw some epic things in this one as well, which is amazing. So that is all that I have to say about this book, and I am not bashing it. Never, because I really enjoyed reading it, and it was the book that I read fastest, not because it was the shortest, as some might think, but because I was really into it. So I have nothing bad to say about this book. So that is all for this video, and I just want to tell you guys, thank you so very much for being with me throughout this entire read-along of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I really enjoyed doing this. I really enjoyed doing the spoilery vlogs for you, as well as the non-spoiler vlogs. And vlogs? Videos. Whatever. And I am very happy that I got to read this finally, because this was a mark. I had a mark to read this before my 22nd birthday, and I did it. So I am very happy about this, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this reading, and I promise that I'll be doing more reading vlogs for other series that I haven't read and should have. And yeah, guys, so if you have something to say about The Lord of the Rings, specifically about the third book, but without spoiling everyone, just tell me so in the comments down below, or generally about the entire series, like which book is your favorite, for instance, of the trilogy. If you want to share, or if you have a different opinion that I have, just please tell me so in the comments down below. So that is all for today, guys, and happy readings to you all. Bye!